Cameroun, tu es notre beau pays. Tes enfants veulent y vivre en harmonie. Allumons un feu de joie, entendons d'une même voix, une chanson d'amour qui nous réunit. Allumons un feu de joie, entendons d'une même voix, une chanson d'amour qui nous réunit.
A star in the middle of a country with three leading colors: green, red, yellow, an embodiment of its pluralistic yesterday, pluralistic today, and pluralistic tomorrow, fervently rejecting one of the most divisive rhetorics of our time, hate speech.
Selon les Nations Unies, le discours de haine, c'est tout discours qui provoque la violence. C'est un discours qui s'attaque à la dignité de l'homme sur le critère de la race, sur le critère de la nationalité, sur le critère même du genre, soit parce que vous êtes une femme ou bien vous êtes un homme, sur le critère de la peau, sur le critère de l'ethnie.
Hate speech will be a way to talk another person down, to sabotage, to break down, to destroy, to undermine, and to make them look less effective or ineffective, so that you can feel good and you can feel better than the other person.
Le discours de haine, c'est une forme de communication, qu'elle soit comportementale, orale, écrite, qui discrimine un individu ou un groupe d'individus. En général, c'est en raison de son appartenance, de sa spécificité. Et derrière ce discours, il y a aussi ce caractère discriminatoire, il y a aussi une dimension qui pourrait envoyer vers une forme de violence symbolique. Donc le discours de haine, c'est un discours qui stigmatise, c'est un discours qui discrimine, c'est un discours qui construit une image défavorable pour un individu ou un groupe de personnes.
Yeah, Cameroon, my country. Yeah, I don't carry you for my hand, but one day I go past the key when the wall done strong enough. I don't build, I don't put my stone under the sun and the rain. Roads, dams, schools, make you fit waka go future. But storm don't shout, and some people don't doubt me. But waiting father sabi, he know when.
A German, English, and French construct enveloped in pre-colonial realities today, Cameroon, a country with about 30 million people nowadays, has been trapped in the undesirable echoes of hate speech, tribalism, and violence in a world with about 7,000 languages.
Hate speech is in itself an attack on tolerance, inclusion, diversity, and the very essence of our human rights norms and principles. More broadly, it undermines social cohesion, erodes shared values, and can lay the foundation for violence, setting back the cause of peace, stability, sustainable development, and the fulfillment of human rights for all.
On observe un repli identitaire chez plusieurs de nos communautés. Nous sommes 250 communautés différentes. Nous cohabitons ensemble depuis plusieurs années en tant que nation, mais nous n'avons pas bien compris le sens de la démocratisation. Je pense personnellement qu'il y a peut-être une limite ou une insuffisance à la connaissance des philosophies, des idéologies politiques.
Hate speech in Cameroon, as the term might sound, is any form of communication that is written, verbal, it could be artistic, it could just be corporal, it could be movements that you portray or you display against a person that seeks to remove humanity from this person, that seeks to paint another person black. And the person you're painting, this could be attacking their origins. And these origins could be social, they could be ethnic, they could be linguistic, they could even be regional.
Dans le contexte camerounais, on peut trouver un semblant de définition de discours de haine, mais dans le code pénal, qui a une définition plus restrictive, parce que le code pénal, lui, parle juste d'outrage à la race et à la religion. Donc, dans notre contexte, contrairement au contexte des Nations Unies, on a une définition très limitée du discours de haine qui pointe juste la race ou la religion. Donc, quand vous allez vous attaquer à la race de quelqu'un ou d'un groupe, ou à la religion de quelqu'un ou d'un groupe, on pourra vous reprocher de faire des discours de haine.
Constitutionally, English and French are the two official languages, but the country is spread in 4 cultural zones, with the Sawa, the Sahelian, grassfields, and forest people, with plus 250 ethnic tongues across the 360 council areas, basically walling hate discourse because our cultural diversity is seen as an asset.
It's very important for us to know that we just have only one country. It's like we're in a home right now. If we destroy the roof, then we are sleeping in the would find ourselves kind of like in the wilderness, right? So in the modern world today, we know that people have different opinions, but we have to try as much as possible to preserve our national integrity. And for us to preserve national integrity or social cohesion, we have to learn how to love each other, tolerate each other, accept that we have different views, but we can coexist and cohabit, right? So, be you from Ngelemenduka, be you from Manfe, be you from Binjong, or be you from the West, we are one people. The same blood that runs in our veins is just, it's blood and it's love. So, I take pride in talking to you, voicing my opinion without trying to hate on you, without being jealous of you. Mr. Charles, I'm not okay with what you think, but I respect it. That's how we shall grow. Respect, love, and making sure that we create a better ground for our people. Hate speech, tribalism, and jealousy, hatred, violence, it's a no-no.
Il y a une prolifération de ce type de discours. En même temps qu'il y a une prolifération des thèses complotistes, vous avez des contre-vérités qui sont assénées d'une manière péremptoire sur les médias, sur les réseaux sociaux, à travers la télévision, dans le cadre de réunions publiques. Et c'est devenu un phénomène qui menace la paix et la sécurité internationale. C'est devenu un phénomène qui, aujourd'hui, participe au non-respect des droits de l'homme.
People give hate speech, number one, probably because they are disappointed. People give hate speech because they are angry. People give hate speech because they are bitter. People give hate speech because they are traumatized. People give hate speech because they are dealing with self-destruction, self-confidence, and they're dealing with low self-esteem. It's going deeper than what people say. I usually say that people are saying things coming from their childhood, and I can always trace that from a long place. So most of the things we are seeing are just fruits, they are effects. And when most of these circumstances come up when people need to deal with it, it shows like hate speech.
Aware of threats to global peace and security, the United Nations has had a long-standing record of canvassing for support and mobilizing the world against hatred of all kinds to defend human rights and the rule of law.
Hate speech had sown the seeds, building on millennia of scapegoating and discrimination against the Jews and culminating in the Holocaust. 75 years on, we are in danger of forgetting this lesson. Around the world, we see a groundswell of xenophobia, racism and intolerance, violent misogyny, and also anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hatred. And in some places, Christian communities are attacked.
Dans nos villages, c'est difficile de convaincre un villageois par rapport à l'idéologie socialiste, idéologie communiste, idéologie capitaliste. Il ne comprend pas. Donc quand il y a un parti, si quelqu'un de son village crée un parti, il va là-bas parce que c'est la tribu qui doit être là-bas. Bon, cette volonté de s'identifier à travers la communauté amène quelques incompréhensions et fausses jugements. Donc je pense que quelquefois, on est sur un espace donné et plusieurs communautés sont là. Une a eu le privilège peut-être d'avoir une position plus confortable que celle des autres. Et quelquefois aussi, ces personnes qui arrivent à ce niveau, au lieu de fédérer toute la communauté autour, ils mettent l'accent davantage sur leur communauté que sur les autres communautés. Ce qui fait que ceux qui n'ont rien, je dirais comme ça, sont en colère et tiennent des propos inacceptables.
Hate speech, violent conflict, violent extremism, it's the reality in our context today. Unfortunately, we find ourselves there. And from a research background, in 2018, I worked on developing the lexicon for hate speech in Cameroon. That was where I understood that for a long time, we were brewing, words, expressions, actions, which could put us in conflict without even knowing, words like le bamenda, words like francophone, anglophone, those words which seemed very okay to describe people then, but was building animosity. And my understanding of hate, I came to realize that it was not just about the words that people were using, but it was even the way people were relating to others. And in the wake of conflicts or crises in our country, we could see how people move from point A to point B just because that some words made them feel bad, some words were derogatory, some words make them feel as if they are not valued, and at some point in time, people want to express themselves differently. So for me, hate speech is a big conversation in our context, which, we see it on TV, we see it on day-to-day life, we see it on social media. It's just everywhere.
The commitment of the United Nations to defend communities and their individuals against the spread of false news, hatred, tribalism, and violence is based on two key historical circumstances never to be repeated. One, the massacre of plus 6 million Jews during the Second World War in the famous Holocaust, and the Rwandan genocide, where more than 1 million people were killed plus 30 years ago, all the outcome of hate speech, which attained irreversible limits.
This is one of the most significant places here at the Kigali Genocide Memorial. And everybody who comes here observes a minute of silence. First, by dropping a flower. It is a symbol to remember what happened here in 1994, where plus 1 million people were killed because of hatred, violence, and a sense of irresponsibility perpetrated against one community of a people. And as it is said in Kinyarwanda, Kibwika, which simply means remember, unite, and renew, we must renew the sense of collective responsibility to ensure society never repeats this again. In this area, prime ministers, presidents, queens, kings come to visit to see how horrible events in 1994 unraveled. And for one reason, because this is a collective mass grief, which indicates the horrible events in Rwanda in 1994, which no portion of planet Earth is ready to reproduce.
Vous savez, le Rwanda, les gens qui ont tué les autres ne venaient pas dans notre pays. C'était les voisins, c'était les amis, c'était des frères. C'était des gens avec lesquels on travaille, on rit, on mange tous les jours. Et vous avez vu les conséquences. Les conséquences du Rwanda, c'est des millions de personnes qui ont été tuées, y compris les femmes et les enfants. C'est des millions de personnes qui ont été déplacées dans les pays voisins, Burundi, Congo et autres. C'est des millions de femmes qui ont été violées. C'est des millions de personnes qui restent traumatisées aujourd'hui à cause des discours de haine. Vous vous rappelez des discours de haine, on appelait certaines personnes des cafards. les discours de haine sont à la base du scandale rwandais. Et nous, on n'est pas très loin de là.
You find time and again outbursts of hate speech in the media, and also the fact that it appears on the social media and it's taken over by traditional media outlets, which makes it more complicated. The other problem which we have noticed is the fact that when you have people feed on outbursts, it puts communities against each other and tears down social cohesion. And that's why it's been a constant concern for the National Communication Council. And we have time and again issued statements, organized workshops, seminars with those concerned to try to play down or to reduce it to the minima.
Et donc, il était très important que les Nations Unies s'en emparent pour que la communauté internationale soit sensibilisée et qu'au niveau des États, au niveau des organisations de la société civile, au niveau de vous-même les médias, qu'il y ait une prise de conscience globale sur le caractère particulièrement pernicieux du discours de haine. Vous savez, si on peut prendre des exemples, le génocide rwandais en avril 1994 et toute la période qui a suivi, quelque part, a été favorisé par la construction d'une image de l'autre partie comme étant des cafards, des animaux. Donc, chaque fois qu'on arrive à des phénomènes de violence de masse, très souvent, cela est précédé dans l'histoire par la construction d'un discours de haine. Donc, le discours de haine est une étape, c'est un étage de l'édifice du chaos.
To engrave the dangers of hate speech in the minds of everyone, the United Nations established June 18 each year as the International Day for Countering Hate Discourse, the global platform to rally all member states to pause on the threat to harmony and compassion by the vice.
Growing up, I had the privilege, we had less of those things when I was a child. You know, we had less of tribalistic, you know, we had less of hate speech. I was born in the 80s, so growing up in school, we really did not experience hate speech. You know, we did not really have even the internet, so even if it existed, it was not as wide as it is today.
Qu'il s'agisse du tribalisme ou des discours haineux, il y a lieu de préciser que tout cela contribue à fragiliser l'unité nationale. Aujourd'hui, comme vous le savez, prolifère sur les réseaux sociaux un ensemble de comportements qui ne sont pas à même de faciliter la cohésion sociale. Il ne serait pas excessif aujourd'hui de préciser que qu'il y a comme un rassemblement désormais par ethnie ou bien par tribu pour pouvoir conduire ou bien mener des activités, comment on peut dire ça, néfastes, qui ont un effet néfaste sur la cohésion sociale en ce qui concerne d'autres tribus ou bien d'autres ethnies.
We can't think of not loving and not understanding each other. If I give you a handshake, then we speak, then we have a conversation, and then we share our views. I can make sure that even if your views are different from my views, so far as we have one common thing, interest to protect, which is our country, which is our land, our home, I think we shall be good.
This 2025, the International Day for Countering Hate Speech was under the theme Hate Speech and Artificial Intelligence to unpack the nexus technologies play in fostering this cankerworm, which tears communities terribly.
Ouais, par exemple en Europe, les Africains qui sont dans les clubs professionnels de football, quelquefois sont victimes de racisme. Parce que peut-être la perception que les gens en Occident ont sur l'Afrique, ils ne pensent pas que l'Africain soit le meilleur sur un terrain de football dans leur propre ville. Bon. Et surtout quand l'Africain marque des buts, fait gagner son équipe, ceux d'en face montent en colère et l'insultent parfois. Nous avons ce problème dans le sport et nous essayons de combattre ce phénomène avec beaucoup d'énergie.
And I also experienced it in Ajax Amsterdam when I was playing against Feyenoord. And people went to the extent to beating one another, like stabbing one another, almost killing the other people. Fans were banned because it moved from competition to hate and anger. And those are moments that I experienced. And probably it could have meant much to me if I understood the Dutch language when I just went there. Because my first performance, they were saying things, thank God I didn't understand what they were saying. I don't know what that could have done for me. So I've literally not really understood hate, but I knew there was hate, but I never really understood it that way.
Il faut qu'on arrête de banaliser les discours de haine. C'est une réalité, c'est un phénomène néfaste et il faut que tout le monde s'implique pour lutter contre les discours de haine. Et quand je dis tout le monde, c'est vous, c'est moi, c'est la famille. Parce que parfois la famille, c'est le terreau, c'est là où ça commence. Quand dans la famille on dit « Ah, le bamileke là », « Ah, le tontina là », « Ah, le buvard d'odontol là », « Ah, le mouton là », ça commence dans la famille. Et les enfants grandissent avec ces expressions, ils grandissent avec... Et on banalise ça, pourtant c'est réel. C'est au niveau des écoles qu'il faut mettre sur pied des programmes de tolérance, des programmes de vivre ensemble. Il faut que le petit enfant qui est au niveau de la maternelle sache que le mot que je dis de manière anodine à mon camarade, à un moment donné, ça ne va plus passer. C'est dans les écoles, c'est les médias. Aujourd'hui, les médias camerounais sont un réel fléau qui multiplie les discours de haine.
Earlier in his presidency, President Paul Biya had denounced jealousy, hate speech, and tribalism as elements that every democratic society should reject. And this is well spelled out in his epic publication, Communal Liberalism.
Plus que jamais, le Cameroun a besoin d'une vraie unité nationale. Plus que jamais, nous devons combattre le tribalisme, le népotisme, le laisser-aller ou la corruption. L'appartenance ethnique n'est pas un signe de compétence. N'oubliez jamais que nous sommes avant tout des Camerounais.
In July 2022, when we organized a national workshop on hate speech and invited stakeholders, we tried to project instances of hate speech in the media in a package, and people who even were involved were shocked that some of those phrases came from them. Sometimes you say things without realizing the consequences of what you say or measuring exactly the outcome of it. It's when your attention has been drawn to it that you realize that you made a statement which wasn't tamed.
Vous verrez un groupuscule de Bamileke dire que l'homme bêtis ne vaut rien, il n'a pas d'expertise, il ne peut rien faire. De l'autre côté, vous trouverez des regroupements des personnes issues du centre ou du sud proférer, comment on peut dire ça, des messages comme quoi, vraiment, le Bamileke qui prétend être un homme travailleur n'est en réalité qu'un bandit. Vous verrez également un autre groupuscule dire que les peuples du Nord ne réfléchissent pas, ils sont comme des moutons, ils raisonnent ou bien ils se comportent comme des moutons. Voilà ce que nous voyons sur les réseaux sociaux au quotidien. Et cela est exacerbé par l'élection présidentielle prochaine. Nous disons que ces comportements sont suffisamment graves, de sorte qu'il faille qu'aujourd'hui, les pouvoirs publics, l'État du Cameroun, ainsi que la justice, prennent leurs responsabilités. Sinon, il y aura une véritable implosion qui peut manifestement conduire à une guerre civile ou bien à une guerre intertribale avec des relents génocidaires.
Across the chessboard, hate speech expressions are bound in the Cameroonian context as a way of their manifestation.
If you go into the Adamawa regions, let me start from where we most of the times forget. You'd hear people call some wari wari. If you go to the far north, you would hear people call Gadamayo. It does not just end at Gadamayo, Gadamayo Mere. If you come back to the grass field, you will go to hear not only people calling other persons or giving them names such as cats, as dogs, people relating to other persons such as prostitutes or thieves, but you would go as far as getting other persons giving you the undertone that, hey, this person cannot even think for themselves. We are the best and they are nothing. If you go to the south, if you go to the littoral and you go to the southwest, you would hear even things like chop brook pot, lazy people, come no go. Why are we qualifying this hate speech? It's one, these are generalities that come from day-to-day experiences that we've had. Two, these are also things that are not always very true. So we've had lots of hate speech that has got to do with misinformation. You have a personal experience, you generalize it, and you could name a tribe or a group of people as to be those who are perpetrating this. This is on the verbal perspective.
Et c'est compte tenu de cette situation que nous autres, experts criminels, agréés du ministère de la Justice, juristes praticiens depuis de nombreuses années, nous disons qu'il y a lieu de revoir les méthodes, qu'il y a lieu d'implémenter de nouvelles techniques qui peuvent permettre de veiller sur l'univers cybernétique afin de contrôler tout ce qui est diffusé là en termes de messages à connotation tribale, en termes de propos haineux, parce qu'il y en a aujourd'hui. Nous sommes littéralement, j'ai pu vous le dire, au bord d'une véritable guerre intertribale, parce que les propos haineux, tout naturellement, peuvent prédisposer ceux qui les tiennent à une violence inouïe.
We picked out things like, for example, Anglophone, for example, which was used to describe an Anglophone person, someone from the Northwest or the Southwest region. Now, this was a word that has been there for a long time. But it made some people feel bad. It made some people feel less being Cameroonians, you know, and which we ignored. And even those who were listening, who were being called those names, did not know it was doing something deep in them. We have words which is common, sardina, tantina, and whatsoever. It seems very playful, but someone's political affiliation or ideology should not be limited by a food or something. We have expressions like le ra, you know, or basic things where someone can say, oh, a backward person is lazy, you know. This could seem very okay, you know, but these are words which takes you to a different way of thinking, and we've seen how it shapes people's perspectives and people's action. In 2018, late 2018, I published a book, Hate Speech and Violent Conflict in Cameroon. And there we're able to tell the correlation between these words and where it takes you to. And it was clear for us to see that there is a direct causal link between hate speech with hate crime and violence and violent extremism. We've seen that in our context today.
In Cameroon today, jealousy, hate speech, and violence are spread mostly by the outcome of terrorism in the far north region, secession in the northwest and southwest regions, and the abundance of social media platforms where free expression is beyond limits.
We are treated differently. You're shorter than I am, I'm further than you are. Differences are, I didn't choose my ethnic group, which I come from, neither did you. So differences are a fact of creation. But those differences, if not properly apprehended, can be the source of hate rhetoric. And we often see that play out in human relations because we're permanently in competition for resources, be it financial resources, be it even just the desire for self-assertion. When in those little competitions, and usually those differences are now used as levers, and which often exacerbate now those differences, hoping that I can maybe put your light off to shine mine. And so we have that usually, of course, the press is one of the channels par excellence by which these differences are usually, or by which this hate rhetoric is usually vehicled, be it social media, be it traditional media. We usually see this kind of rhetoric come out every once again, especially at periods where there is heightened competition, either for political positioning or what have you, like we're experiencing in Cameroon today.
Je suis né à Bamenda, j'ai grandi à Bafoussam. Et qui étaient mes voisins à Bafoussam, les Nigérians? On a vécu ensemble. J'allais à l'église, le dimanche, j'allais manger le riz chez mes voisins. Je suis quitté ensuite de Bafsam, je suis parti à Douala. J'ai vécu à la cité sikh avec les Bassa. Moi, je suis anglophone. Moi, je peux un peu me parler au Bassa parce que je cherche à m'intégrer. Donc, je n'ai pas besoin de me sentir différent. Je suis bien avec tout le monde.
Have you heard Akwara? Have you heard Bangwa 99 cents? Have you heard the H? You say this is an H from Kumba. It has been played along what we will call the Anglophone-Francophone divide, where you have Anglophone and you have Franco-Frog. We even had in 2018 a famous term that came up to say Sardina and Tongtina. These are terminologies that have actually helped tear our society apart. This is just the verbal form of it. We have a written form of it. I will tell you, we have people who go online, who actually write documentary that describes an individual's experience to consider it as a global or a societal phenomenon. We've had people who, because their wallet was snatched, I don't know, in Yaoundé and Douala, they will consider people from this location as all being thieves or being witches. We've had experiences in the littoral region where we have people say, tous les Yambassiens sont des sorciers, to mean everybody from Yabassi are witches and wizards. And we've gone down to verify this, and this has not been proven at any level.
The sports industry, the entertainment industry, and the political industry are some of the areas where these vices are very common.
I think I've experienced hate speech when I was still playing at a low level. That was in Tico. I played at the time the mini Interpol with Tico Young Stars, which was a team that was created by another person in Tico, and we're playing against Tico United. And I could start quickly differentiating between, there are some ways you can try to talk the opponent down, by insulting them, which are tantrums in football. It's competitive. It's like sometimes someone like Muhammad Ali will use certain statements to put off, his adversary by saying things. It's more psychological game. Now that is for competition. But when you cross the line and you start talking about people's personal stuff, you start downgrading them, you get into hate. So I saw how it escalated from a mere game which we were supposed to play, woo-win, to you start insulting people, talking them down, and that stuff went on and created factions. The factions that were beyond just normal life. Things that will go on to produce anger and revenge to people on a day-to-day basis, even going to the extent where they want to sabotage other people's business. It had crossed the line. So that was one of my first experience where I was caught in the middle, and I was a Tico child. Now you have Tico Young Stars, you have Tico United, and you have these people who usually were together, friends. And I was like, this is what sometimes happens in politics, where people of the same household can take it so personal until they can't even talk. And they stop to, they like hate each other just because they have different opinions and different beliefs.
Au Cameroun, le discours haineux qu'on entend de plus en plus, c'est lié à l'ignorance des gens qui ne savent pas ce que ça représente de vivre en communauté.
With the internet today, we should be very careful. That is the first message I am sending out to the youths of today. We should be very careful with the way we receive messages and the way we air out messages. As you said, I had an issue, a domestic issue sometime in my life where I saw grown-ups sitting and doing videos, going live, and saying things about me that I don't even, that's never existed. You get? So I believe we should be very careful. We should read in between the lines, especially with the use of the AI. The artificial intelligence, it has worsened the situation. Today you can wake up and they can take the face of any president and make the mouth to speak with the same voice and tell you people to do something that doesn't exist. So we should read in between the lines, because it's only going to get worse. People are only going to get worse because with the AI. Sometimes I see some things, I even believe it. I have to really, cross-check over and over to finally discover, oh, it was artificial intelligence. So I think the key word is being very careful.
To roll back this, the government had first drafted legislation to secure Cameroonians from the negative consequences of hate speech, violence, tribalism, and nepotism.
The National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism since 2021 has been given an express assignment and duty by the head of state to carry a new national campaign for the fight against hate speech and xenophobia. But before that instruction came, you may want to know that the commission already in-house had put in place, the president of the commission, His Excellency Peter Mafani Musonge, had put in place a committee for the fight against hate speech and xenophobia in 2019. And this after we had noticed the rise of hate speech during the electoral season of 2018.
Il ne faut pas oublier que ces discours de haine ont été exacerbés par le contexte électoral, par la politique, par des gens qui ont utilisé les discours de haine pour se faire une base politique, sans oublier qu'en aval, il y a une population qui souffre de ces discours. Il y a des divisions qu'on observe aujourd'hui dans notre contexte et il est impératif que tout le monde s'implique.
As early as 2017, when I had my mandate with the Commonwealth, one of the things that I had to do for our context was to speak to the Commonwealth Secretariat. And when the Commonwealth Violent Extremism Unit was created, we had to do work in Cameroon. And one of them, firstly, was to be able to mobilize people from different walks of life. We had influencers, we had journalists, we had young people, just for us to first have that conversation, because we realized that people were sharing hate or violent information without even knowing that it was hurting people. And when we had this conversation of about 30 of them, we realized that it meant something different to them. We also work with creative people like a senior pastor, the comedian. We had to set up a comedy show, Laughter Heals, where the idea was in 2018, in the heart of all the pressure, he had to use comedy and others to do. We had to focus around research because it was important for us to go deeper to understand what are the realities of this, and that's why we had the lexicon. And we focused a lot on capacity building programs. Most recently, we had to partner with the artist Magasco to design a concept called, Access to Love, and which is engaging educational institutions against this.
The government also created institutions like the National Communication Council with a mandate to educate the public on this, and the Bilingualism Commission, which has outlined a program backed by a law passed by Parliament.
The first thing which we did was to try to bring all concerned parties, particularly the media, because it's on the media that, or in the media that you find such utterances which are hateful. We tried to bring them together in a national workshop in July 2022, and we have gone to the different regions of the country, organized workshops with stakeholders. We started in 2021 and ended up at the end of 2022, and towards 2022 then we organized a national workshop, and each time we visit newsrooms or invite journalists or stakeholders, we talk to them about the phenomenon of hate speech, which is not only a Cameroonian concern, but a global concern, because we have noticed that the outburst of hate speech comes more from the social media than the traditional media. But when it happens on the social media, traditional media organs pick it up and relay it, sometimes without caution, and that would exacerbate what perhaps would have passed on unnoticed.
Le 18 juin dernier, on a fait tout un travail de sensibilisation avec les enfants, les jeunes et les femmes sur le discours de haine. Et en marge de cela, de manière permanente dans nos actions, nous nous rapprochons toujours des acteurs pour que la vérité scientifique, pour que la vérité sociétale, celle qui émane des documents officiels, soit celle que nous utilisons dans nos propres travaux. Nous procédons aussi par tous les autres ressorts des sciences sociales, notamment les enquêtes sur le terrain, qu'elles soient qualitatives ou quantitatives, pour faire en sorte que toutes les problématiques dont nous nous emparons soient étayées par de la recherche scientifique et que cette recherche soit mise à disposition des médias, des universitaires, des diplomates et de tous ceux qui ont besoin de mieux comprendre les enjeux internationaux et les enjeux nationaux. Donc ça, c'est notre première tâche. La deuxième, en termes d'action spécifique, avec le Center for Strategic and International Studies qui est basé à Washington, on a mené tout un travail sur la désinformation et ça a fait l'objet d'un séminaire que nous avons tenu en début d'année à l'hôtel Hilton. Et pour nous, il est question de rester sur cette problématique-là parce que, comme vous le savez, la conjoncture nationale est marquée par les grands enjeux électoraux et l'autre travail que nous avons fait ces 6 derniers mois, c'était de préparer des éléments de référence pour un dialogue sur les élections au Cameroun et on a fait un partenariat avec Elecam. On a discuté avec la plupart des acteurs concernés par les processus électoraux au Cameroun pour avoir un rapport de près de 200 pages qui aujourd'hui nourrit le travail de dialogue qui est fait par Elecam.
Once I saw the vision of access to love, I had to be a part. You know, I told the organization, you know, the team of the local youth corner that I want to be a part because I want to use my voice to eradicate all forms of violence because these are also forms of violence. And you know, being a popular figure, standing in front of youths who idolize and look up to me, the message is going to pass. It's going to be more, how can I say, it's going to be easily more digestible than, you know, maybe some other person because the fact that it is a Magasco that is in front of them, you know, they would listen.
Easily
Yeah, you know, so I am glad that I have been part of it and championing it. We've been to over 30 schools and as of now, other schools are interested in inviting us and we are working on that for next year. And I can't wait to just spread the news because, you know, it is something that, it's a very big challenge. And I think it's a lot of work from what we have already experienced, but still, it is worth it.
The state, civil society organizations, all in their various competencies, have been embarking on campaigns to educate and inform the public on the dangers of hate speech to national unity, cohesion, tolerance, and living together.
Avec le festival du Vivre Ensemble, le Living Together Festival, en tant qu'un musicien, je crois également aussi que c'est mon rôle en tant qu'un leader de la jeunesse qui devrait faire à ce qu'on puisse regarder au-delà de moi. Parce que si je brille, certes c'est très beau, mais si je brille pour moi seul, pour moi ça ne sert à rien. Shining for others is a must. Living together is a must.
A nation like Cameroon prides itself in the international scene. I have had this small experience of traveling around the world to being that, not only a rainbow nation, but that big bowl of salad, where you have a mixture of everybody, a mixture of cultures, of ideas, without actually violently fighting. And we always give people this example, that as a Cameroonian, you don't need to treat one another differently based on who and where they come from, because it is this diversity that gives us our uniqueness. And I will tell you that the first reason would be there is the principle that we are not all unique, but we must learn to live with the differences of one another and tolerate them as we live. Two tribes in the same region are not unique. Two tribes even in the same division are not unique. And even when the tribe is unique, there are people with different kinds of ideas and behaviors within that same group. And to this effect, I tell you, we need to embrace one another while preserving our own identities as well.
Je suis arrivé à l'école militaire en 70 et en 72, je suis sorti de l'EMIA. En 74, j'ai été fait à Tongolola, fils des étudiants. Il y avait toute une grande cérémonie pour me reconnaître comme le fils des étudiants. Les gens de Mangué, les gens de Chiganik Noa là-bas, ceux de Tongolo même, il y avait une grande fête. Et en même temps qu'on me reconnaissait comme le fils des étudiants, ils m'ont donné le terrain sur lequel je devais construire ma maison. Donc je ne suis pas de ceux qui ont peur de ce qu'on peut dire. Moi, je suis intégré. Et à cette époque, effectivement, on avait ce sentiment d'appartenir à une même famille. sans forcément savoir d'où on vient. Mais dans les positionnements politiques ou dans les positionnements d'intérêt individuel, ce type de comportement apparaît chez des gens qui n'ont pas suffisamment de la hauteur pour se placer là où c'est avantageux pour construire l'esprit de communauté, l'esprit d'amour entre les citoyens d'un même pays.
The interconnections of Cameroonians leave no room for hate speech, jealousy, and tribalism because the country is simply a bowl of salad.
It puts you in a situation where you might not be able to fix forever. Because when we see what war is or conflict is, you know, if you take a piece of paper, you write peace on, it's easy to write. But when you tear it, you try to put it together, it will never be the same. This is the fear that we have. And as young people, we've come with new perspectives. Our interest in national development is very different. It's entrepreneurship. It's not looking at government jobs only. You look at young creatives today doing things differently. I think we have more stakes in this country than ever before. So, and we are younger parents today. Our wish is to leave a country that our children will inherit and our great-grandchildren will live in a situation where they will not experience violence or conflict, because violence knows no one. Even those who start violence, you know, end up dying out of it. So this is what drives us as young people to do our little best from different backgrounds to be able to solve issues like this.
Il est important aujourd'hui pour les pouvoirs publics et pour la justice, notamment le ministère de la Justice, nous le pensons, qu'il soit mis sur pied une véritable cellule d'investigation et de médiation envers les Camerounais. Investiguer pour détecter, collecter, structurer tous les éléments de preuve qui se rapportent aux propos haineux, au tribalisme ou à tout autre comportement répréhensible.
I've been part of the national team. It's a very symbolic group to represent exactly what you're saying. Cameroon is a very rich country with diverse cultures. And the national team is always a symbol of how a people from different areas can come together on a common goal. And when I look at the national team, you have people from the northwest, from the northern region, from the southern region, with different cultures, different food, different dressing. When we unite for a common goal, you see that everybody's behind the national team. Nobody's thinking Eno is from Southwest. It's about we want the national team to win. So when the goal, which favors everybody, is not on the table, then it becomes difficult. Another thing is that conflicts which are created based on personal interests. When someone say, I want only my tribe person, tribalism, things like that, favoritism or nepotism, as you could call it, these are things that have crept in. But I want to fall back to our motto as a nation, a motto that I grew up hearing over and over, which I think we have put on the side. We're not talking about it. Growing up, every time when the Cameroon TV was going to kick off, we had the Cameroon flag. We had the national anthem. That will be echoed in the minds of people, reminding people about what Cameroon stands for. It's peace. It's about peace, work, and fatherland. Now, peace is work. So they put the word peace, which means that's really the atmosphere that this nation is supposed to run on. But he's saying that peace cannot be achieved without work. You need to work the peace. And how do you work that peace? Number one, we go back to appreciate our value. If we people remind ourselves that Cameroon is the richest country in the world, you can have this multitude of things in the same country. We are favored by God. Sometimes we forget about it. And we start to look at how blessed we are. You see, when you put that peace on the table, you start thinking about working that peace and working to grow. Then the fatherland becomes the focus, not individual tribes. And so my message in such a time like this, I said, Cameroon is a country of peace, and peace needs to be worked. We have to put aside our personal grudges, our personal disgruntlement, and look back at a common goal. How can we build our nation? This I say, if you shoot the captain of a ship, taking the ship to a direction, you are sinking the whole ship, thinking you have a personal agenda against the captain. If you would tolerate with the captain and support the captain, I think it can take us to a better destination.
Today, living together is a must. As an extract of a policy enshrined in the national development fabric, codified in the country's development vision of one and indivisible democratic community where Cameroonians peacefully cohabitate for the good of the fatherland.
La violence n'est jamais justifiée. La violence vient du mal. La paix, et seulement la paix, vient de Dieu. La violence ne se justifie pas, ni le dimanche, ni le lundi, ni aucun jour de la semaine.
C'est inacceptable d'insulter gratuitement des gens qui ne vous ont rien fait. Et parfois, vous dites des choses à leur endroit, des choses dont vous n'avez pas la preuve. Parce que dans la rue, dès qu'on vous voit dans une belle voiture, vous êtes le voleur. C'est inacceptable. Vous avez une belle maison parce que vous vous êtes consacré à vos efforts, à économiser et même à vous entêter en prenant des crédits, quelquefois en vendant des choses qui vous sont chères parfois pour construire une maison. Dès que quelqu'un passe devant, il dit voici la maison des voleurs là. Donc, ouais, ces jeunes d'aujourd'hui qui pensent que tout ce que quelqu'un peut avoir, c'est pas de la voie du vol, eux-mêmes se mettent sur la voie de l'indélicatesse. Et c'est inacceptable. Ce que je peux dire aux jeunes, c'est que la seule chose qui vaut la peine, c'est de travailler. Et, bon, Nganou nous a donné l'exemple. Il a dit qu'il a travaillé. Il est allé en Europe de manière irrégulière peut-être, mais arrivé là-bas, il n'est pas allé juste vendre des objets à Moulin Rouge à Paris. Il s'est engagé dans une voie qui aujourd'hui fait de lui une icône, qui lui a donné la réussite. Bon, je crois que quel que soit le niveau où on se place, par le canal de l'université, par le canal de la formation professionnelle, par le sport, il faut s'engager sur la voie de la réussite.
I'm a mixture. My father being from the Northwest, my mother being from the Southwest. Two cultures, two different backgrounds, two diametrically opposed cultures, but which have produced me. And I enjoy that diversity. I think it makes me a more complete human being. Having a little bit of that and a little bit of this, which puts me together and which makes me me. I'm married to a Francophone lady. My wife is from the East region. My children, what background will they claim? So I think all of that makes a human being a richer human being. It makes me richer. Having to have all these cultures, having to blend all these cultures, having to appreciate all these cultures, it makes me a richer person. So, and we are blessed in Cameroon to have 256 plus ethnic groups and as many languages, national languages. It should be our pride in Cameroon and should make us even more richer for it.
Aujourd'hui, j'aimerais demander à cette jeunesse, s'il vous plaît, évitez de nous tuer. Évitons de nous tuer. On ne peut pas s'entretuer. Soyons sur Internet pour des bonnes raisons, pour faire la promo, pour apprendre, pour checker sur nos personnes, pour lire et développer l'Afrique. Je pense que c'est hyper important parce que moi, j'officie également du côté de Los Angeles et quand je regarde comment est-ce que le monde là-bas est tellement émancipé, tellement développé, autant que des Vingandais, je me dis, let's look back. Le mieux, c'est de rentrer chez nous et pouvoir développer notre continent, développer notre maison, mais de quelle façon? De la manière la plus meilleure, pas de la façon pernicieuse. Donc je pense qu'il faut qu'on arrête de se mettre dans une position où on utilise les réseaux sociaux mal. Parce que même Mark Zuckerberg qui a créé Facebook, il n'est pas là pour détruire. C'est nous qui prenons nos propres mains pour détruire. Pensons comment est-ce qu'on ne va pas passer à l'industrialisation de notre pays, de notre continent. Because if we don't get to that level, we shall be behind. Donc, jeunesse, je vous demande, je sais que c'est difficile. Le contexte est souvent difficile dans tous les pays d'Afrique subsaharienne. Donc, je pense que les jeunes devraient se mettre ensemble. Créer des ponts. Créer des ponts pour pouvoir aider le gouvernement, pour aider les institutions, pour qu'ils puissent faire le leur. Pour que quand un jeune, on lui donne une opportunité, qu'il montre que vous avez eu tort de ne m'avoir pas donné depuis longtemps.
My final message would be we're in a crossroad, and I think it's time for Cameroon to put aside, the differences and look towards a better future. I also say this, if you want to build from the past, everything you've said would be on the table. Hate speech, disgruntlement, division. If you want to build to the future, then the future would be the focus. Peace, work, fatherland.
Cameroun, tu es notre beau pays.